So, good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, perfect. So, let's just start with the white color. That's my favorite one. So, very first thing, like about myself, because some of you might not be aware of me. So, this is my, in fact, this is I. So, total, I'm working on the networking field from last 12 years. So, around 12 years of experience in networking. And from like 7 years, I used to work on the cybersecurity field. So whenever I talk about the cybersecurity, it includes networking, threats, vulnerability management, email security, and also a lot of things there's two parts in the cybersecurity, like attack and defense. So I used to get hands-on more on defensive part. That's like basically on firewalls and other mechanism as well, defense mechanism, and sometimes like I exposed on the attack part like penetration testing or ethical hacker type of things. It's like detecting the vulnerabilities in our environment, those type of things. So my recent exposure to this includes all these things. So that just started with my cybersecurity certification from IIT Kanpur. So that was like immense experience I had there. So that's how I am. And now I'm just thinking of to share my experience with you all so that you can also get to know and learn more about on this. So before we proceed, just like I want to understand about you that what basic skills you are having. Are you like good at this FortiGate firewall or the firewalls, or you just starter here, or you are doing only networking? What experience do you have currently? You can speak or type in chat, whatever you want.
Yes, Anuj. So I'm Rahul, and I'm currently having experience total 8 years. And I'm from last more than 6 years. I'm working in security as well, where I'm working on the
Mhm.
email gateway, in the proxy, Cisco umbrella, wireless controllers, and the FMCs, FTDs, and FortiGate firewalls, ASAs. So I'm also working on those stuff.
Okay.
And apart from this, I'm also working on the McAfee antivirus and the Defender, which we are using
Mhm.
just for the scanning purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah. So these all skills I do have experience.
Okay,
But
that's
here
great.
I joined this meeting just to know if I can get something else which I do not know.
Okay, yeah, that's also good because we keep on exploring the upcoming field, so it's really good. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, and thanks for setting up this meeting. Thanks a lot.
Right, yeah. Great. Anyone else want to tell something? I think I see one of the chat here. Okay, I'm beginner. That's fine.
Hi Anuj, my name is Hemant
Mhm.
and I have 2 years of experience in networking field. So I just started Fortinet, working on Fortinet firewalls
Mhm.
from 3 months, and I want to
Mhm.
explore what it is exactly. I want to know more about Fortinet firewalls.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
have joined this meeting, and thanks for setting up this meeting.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So we'll start from the beginning so you can catch up easily.
Thanks.
Perfect. So let's continue now. So I'm just starting from the beginning. Like some of the people just like know networking, because if you don't know the networking, then it's going to be hard to start with like firewalls, because this is job of like network security, you can say. So whenever we talk about our network security, so network comes first and then it comes with the security. So if you don't know the networking, obviously you cannot secure your parameter, or basically you cannot introduce security in the networking. So it's like highly essential that you have at least CCNA equivalent knowledge. If you will not certify, that's also fine, but just basic understanding of the networking. Basic, okay. So if you know the basics, in fact, the subnetting as well as the routing little bit, at least the static route. So if you are not good too much deep on the OSPF, that's fine. So you just know the subnetting and routing. So because some of the times we used to configure the routes like static routes or dynamic routing, any of them. So these are like really required. If you don't know them, it's going to be hard. If you don't need to be expert in the any of the routing protocols like BGP, MPLS, and OSPF and all, you just basic know, we can proceed with the security. So if we talk about the networking, so basic understanding, let's take a very simple example, what we are having in our organization, right? So it could be your office here, and there you have like lot of machines. It could be like some of the machines on the first floor, some of the machines on the second floor, right? On third floor, multiple could be. I'm just putting single one, but that could be multiple. Then we have some switches there. They are connected here. They might be terminating on the core switch, or they might not be. They directly terminating on the router. It just depends how the architecture is. But this is like standard one. They like all these access switches are terminating on the core switches, and then we have some web facing router, or after that one we try to inbuilt our firewall. So sometimes it just depends on the requirement. Sometimes we place firewall here and the router at the end. Sometimes we place firewall at the web facing, like outside world facing, and then router inside. So it's just all the expertise of the architecture, that how they have designed it. So this is access switch, I have written as AS. This is core switch, I have written as CS. This is our personal computers there. And at the end, we have like a router or the firewall. So here I have just taken the firewall at the end, but just you can just swap them, just like nothing mandatory that what you are having. And this is our firewall. Real fun starts whenever you implement the firewall at somewhere, someplace, because this is your environment, and now you want to make it safe, because internet is not at all we treat that as a safe, because anyone like the good guys or bad guys can try to exploit your resources there. So whenever like we open the connections, either they are like outbound, means that from your organization to internet world, or internet to your organization, both should be perfectly scanned, and we have to make sure that not any unintended connection or malicious things are going through our network. So it's just all rules and policies depends on this firewall. So either it is like outgoing of any of the traffic that we allow specific using our policy. It means that we set up the policy, or we can say the rules. Based on those rules, only this traffic will be allowed to pass through. It means that, let's suppose here I have just taken an enterprise network, but here on the same, if your organization have DMZ zones, like you're hosting the servers here, right? So if you are have some servers here as well, your any guy try to exploit your servers as well here. So now what we do, we allow only specific port numbers to connect to this server. Same thing with these PCs, whatever on the left side, they just we try to limit on the port numbers as well as on the IP, just not only the port numbers, we also take care of that one, that if this person is allowed to connect, then I will only allow to this person. For example, you have taken services from any external XYZ company. So they were trying to connect to your server because they are legitimate person. They are having a public IP. So you take that specific public IP, allow that to connect to your server. If you are accessing an internet, let's suppose this machine is trying to access the internet, then what we do, we only allow limited websites, or in fact, even it is open, then we try to inspect all the traffic here on the firewall, that what is coming inside, either any malicious website you're trying to access, or you're trying to download any content which could be infected, or in fact now from the recent last 3 to 4 years, most of the organizations are more focused on the data security. They just take care of that one, that what you are uploading in any of the Google Drive or shared drive, anything, what content you are sharing with them. So like outbound traffic, most of the organizations just block it so that you do not share their confidential information to your personal or with third party or to someone else. So here just everything you see, that one thing, that is this firewall which is responsible of all those things. There are like multiple things, we can take help of proxies and other things, they can also do the same things, but anyways we have to uh, have some gateway, or we can say the entry or exit point, from where all the traffic should be going through and inspected, either is going outward or inward. If you don't do that one, your organization is you are a risk, and your organization is on risk. And even if you are like working on home and you're just accessing any malicious website, you're on the risk. Any question in this till now? Very simple things. Oh, no. Okay, so I take it as no, and let's proceed further. So whenever like we talk about our FortiGate fire, in fact, like any firewall, I'm not focusing talking about only FortiGate firewall, just any firewall. If you talk about, then if you like want to secure your environment, what will be the criteria? Like you will just try to implement firewall. Is your job done? Let's suppose somebody told me that firewall is very essential and we must deploy the firewall. And if you don't deploy the firewall, then your organization is on risk. Do you think that's like a good statement or not? You can type from the chat yes or no if you don't want to speak. Like implementing firewall is giving a solution. Are we safe if we implement the firewall? Just implement it.
Yeah, yeah, it is safe. Anuj, are you recording this session?
I think no, not on the Zoom, but this is basically live streamed on the YouTube as well.
Okay,
So
okay,
you can watch it there as well if you want.
okay, okay. Thank you.
But
Yeah,
you have reminded me, so let me start on my Zoom as well, so that in case something goes wrong, so we have like backup available.
yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. Thank you.
So you reminded me at the right time. Thanks for that. So, like we said, that if we just deploy the firewall, just deploy. I said that you buy a firewall, but you do not hire a good security professional for that, right? You mean that? Here I'm saying that good security professional. If you do not hire the good security professional, but you just anyone, you hire it, and now you just deployed it. So is it not going to help you to save your environment? Because just implementing or putting the firewall does not restrict all these things. It is just expertise of the this engineer who write the policy very precisely, And that's really makes the difference and make your environment safe. If you don't do that, then what is going to happen, that even if you deploy the firewalls, but the connections are still passing through your firewall, because the policies are not set precisely or with an intelligence. So it is very important that the architect or the engineer who is just like designing these policies or implementing these policy, he should be very smart enough so that all unwanted connections or non-essential connections are blocked on these firewalls. If you just buy a firewall and deploy it in your parameter, it's not going to help. It's just like you put a door outside of your home, but that's always open, right? You have installed it, your door have like a very strong material, metal, everything is there, but still is just always open. So, or in not always open, so most of the time it is open. Then it does not matter you whatever you deploy there, it's just of no use. So that's like the things that you have put your firewall, but now you have to create the policies to block that one. So thumb rule of this thing is like what we do, that we follow the approach of zero trust. Whenever I talk about the zero trust, it doesn't mean that the organizations what they are saying is just simply zero trust means zero trust means that I cannot trust anybody. It means that I cannot trust any connection what is coming from outside, or it is going from inside to outside, right? Either it's inside to outside or outside to inside. I'm not going to trust anyone. I will inspect all the traffic. So what I will do, I will set up the policy for all. The very first thing here means that I will deny all. So this is like default behavior of FortiGate firewall, that all the connections are by default denied. You cannot pass through your firewall. So if you implement the FortiGate firewall here, I think it's like quite messed up. So let me clear it. So if you have this FortiGate firewall here, okay, so this is like specific to FortiGate firewall, not to another firewalls. They could be like allowing the connections, or you have to do something. But this is like default behavior of the FortiGate firewall, that all the connections are by default dropped. You can say denied. And this is quite good behavior, because here you could be have your internal zone. Whenever I'm talking about the zone, if you are good at it, that's fine. If you are just a beginner, just you can say that the one side of the firewall wherever your internal organizations will be connected. So that's like basically we call it the internal site, or the you can also take the terminology of the Cisco. They use the term as inside and outside. So you can say that inside, it means that more trusted, and outside is called as usually as an internet connections. So you can also say that internal or external. So these are like terminologies of the Cisco and the Palo Alto or FortiGate. So here on the we're just taking this inside and outside so that you can just understand. Okay. So for example, you have deployed the firewall, and now all the connections by default are denied. Nobody will be allowed to connect to pass through. Here you are a user here. Okay. You try to access the internet, google.com, you will not be allowed until I set up a policy here. Until I set up a policy on this firewall to allow port 80 or 443 to pass through. If I allow that one, then only you can access the internet. And that's where I have to put the destination specific to any or to that specific websites. Then only you are allowed to pass through or connect to outside. Is that clear, or you have any confusion? Because we are just going little bit technical. And if you have any question, just let me know. I'm just holding on for 15 seconds. Okay. See message clear. So that's quite good. So now this is like a specific thing. And now if I have a server here, for example, this is like a server. Okay. And here on the external, you have a vendor here, and that vendor is also having some servers. It's like API sharing. Some of the files they execute, but they do not have permission to share, or in fact they store that files information to their environment, because they are like third party. They are working on your behalf, but they will like accept the form. Whatever the information will be coming to here, they must store that information in the our servers. It's like compliance things. We do not allow any organization to save our data if it's not uh, belonging to that third party. Okay, so they will process that one. Now what will happen, that you have to allow that connection from here, third party, I'm just taking as a third party organization, to our internal one. So what you will do, if this party is saving that information to this our FTP server, you can say the storage server, then obviously they will sending that file using the file transfer. Anyone can tell me that what is the port number of the file transfer, basically like FTP or SFTP, because we don't use FTP, we usually use the SFTP. What is the port number of the SFTP?
For the FTP, it's a 2021.
FTP is 20 and 21. What about the SFTP?
SFTP, I do not remember exactly.
Okay. What about the SSH?
It's a 443.
Oh no,
Oh, sorry,
443 is,
SSS, it's the 22. SSS 22.
yes, correct. So you took 443. So 443 is HTTPS and SSH is port number
22.
22. So just like that's 22 belonging to the SSH as well as the SFTP. Both use the same port to allow the connection. So either this guy from here, he will do SSH to this one, or they do SFTP to this one. They will use the same port number 22. So now this guy here, we like for this one, we have to open port number 22. But what will be the source IP? Source IP, we will take it from here, that what is the public IP of this third party vendor. So for example, it is like 20.20.20. And here, let's suppose this is also, we have to provide a public IP to this guy. So let's suppose our public IP is something like 100.10.10.1. Okay. So this will be the source IP. This will be our destination IP. And we will be setting up a connection to allow port number 22 to send that file from that third party to our SFTP server. So that's how we have to set the rules. Any question on this? Because this is like, that's how what we do in the production environment. And I'm also working somewhere. So we used to do like multiple times. Any question in this one? That's so quite simple. I think, don't think it should have some question, but if anyone have, then they can, else I will continue further. No, okay. So now just go little bit back. What about this? We have like three terms: switch, router, firewall, right? What is the difference between all these three? Very basic question. What they do? They do basically.
Yep.
Rahul?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So the switch is basically we use it's a layer 2 and the layer 3 that is used to allow the communication in the same network. And for the route, if we want to communicate between the different networks, then we use the router as a L3 device. In the firewall, we use the security mechanisms. And it works on the policies which we configure over the firewall. So whenever the traffic is passing through the firewall, it will match out the policies which we have configured on it, and then based on that, it will take the action whether it will allow the traffic or deny the traffic.
Okay. So basic understanding, the switch is layer two, and that's basically like to add on your point, this is just allows the connection to the same VLAN, right? But within the network, like within the same network, because this is a layer two
Exactly.
device.
Yes.
And on the router, it allows the connection to the different network, but we have to set up a route to allow the connection to them. So that's like till that point, I was quite happy that it is working on like here. This uses our MAC table to forward the frame. This uses our routing table to forward the packet, right?
Yep.
But what is this firewall? Why this came in picture?
So it's basically it's a security device. So it will just filter out the traffic based on the
Okay,
policies. It will
I
just
was
filter out
quite
the
happy with the ACL,
Yep.
access
Yep. Yep.
control list. Wasn't that filtering that traffic from that source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port? We were allowed to set up the in this router. Then why we just need this firewall?
I think on the firewall, basically, I mean the on the firewall we can perform the netting,
NAT, the
and
router can also do NAT.
uh, I don't think
No, it can. Even
can.
Cisco router, all the routers like NAT inside. You have that heard the command, right? NAT inside, NAT outside,
Oh, yep, yep.
right? So it just does that NATing part. Then why firewall? Just unnecessary, no, a new expenditure to
I
the organizations.
I think the firewall can perform the filterings, the traffic like the URL filtering and the inspection,
Yes, that's
like
like
the
a
like the stateful
point.
inspection and the stateless inspection, which I think that router cannot perform.
Yeah,
The
so
firewall can perform.
stateless, yeah, I will come back to that is stateless. But before that one, it is very important that you said that URL filtering. Okay. So our like router was doing the same thing, like filtering the traffic. We were quite happy. But only the concern was that like whenever we are utilizing resources of the router, let's suppose my router's job is to do the routing, but I have taken its help in security part as well, netting part as well. If we just do everything, so either we need a very high-end router, else it the resource constraint will be there, and a time will come that your router will break down, right? So what we did to segregate that one, we uh, take a new device to firewalls that let router do its own job, routing only, and security part of things let firewall do. So we have like divided the job. The same person, like whenever you are in the organizations, you might be seeing that the same resource is working on the multiple fields. He's expert in cloud. He's working on security. He's also taking care of Windows servers, even going on the desktop, like machines, like users' workplace and setting up their connections that why it is not working. I'm talking about that little bit smaller organization, not the quite high, because high like top good organizations, they focused on the one job only. But whenever we have just little like medium type of operations, they took take one resource and let that guy do everything, whatever comes, just you take care. They don't know that what expertise you have, but please, yeah, just manage kar lo na, dekh lete hain. So that's what it is happening. So we are not doing, earlier we used to do that same thing, that we used to say router that managed by security, but now we are not saying that one. Just we are dedicated device we are having for the firewall, and router we have the different ones. So that's what it is happening in case of the firewall and the router. But if you talk about the this basic things, so if your firewall is able to capable of only these things means that L3 part, and this port number, whenever we say that is the L4, we can say, because layer 4 we used to have the port numbers, that which port number is used for which services, for HTTP or SSH or file transfer. But that was not sufficient. Why it was not sufficient? Because if you mention only the IP address, for example, you allow 10.10.10.10 to pass on. Next day, that guy come with the new IP and allowed to pass through, right? That's like permitted. But what is happening? The concern, another thing we were having, for example, you took the Salesforce, right? You know the Salesforce, right? Salesforce is quite popular. So sometimes you know Salesforce or you don't know. Just quick one. Have you anyone heard the name of Salesforce?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So let's suppose we want to allow connection from Salesforce. This is like happening. What I'm giving you an example. This used to happen on the, I think, once or twice in a month. It is happening. Not only with Salesforce, like any of things, but the scenario is like similar. For example, the Salesforce wants to connect to our environment. Okay. Now what we do that we took the IP address of the Salesforce, that okay, it is IP address is for that's the same listing, same IP 10.10.10.10, and that is allowed to connect to our environment because we are having the firewall. We set up the rule. What happened that, like, let's suppose after 20 years, or not 20 years, like for 2 years, the IP address of the Salesforce has been changed. So sometimes they miss to inform us that our IP has been changed. Now we have blocked the connections, whatever the API connections or calls we're having, all the communications are dropped. It created a massive outage. Like uh, uh, it created a P1 that my all Salesforce applications are not working. We investigated and all is like Salesforce is just like working here, that what has gone wrong here. People are investigating the issues and the problem is in the firewall. Anyhow, like they investigated around 7 8 hours, like maybe next day also, or sometimes like the bridge have for set up the call, and then finally they come to know that okay, this it is block IP address on here because they changed the IP. So what's the solution they come up with? That okay, that please use this URL salesforce.com and please allow that connection. I will keep on changing my IP address to the salesforce.com, but this time I have just allowed complete FQD into here. I'll be associating or removing the IP addresses. This salesforce.com will be allowed to connect to. Isn't like a good benefit that we are having whenever we are just not constrained only on the IP addresses rather than we went to an URL. So that's what like capability we were not having in the older ones, older firewalls. We call them as a legacy firewall. So the firewalls having the capability up to L4, they are called as legacy firewalls. And the firewalls which are capable of the L7, or we can say the application layer, they are called as a next generation firewall. So this is at like if you go in basic interviews, like you just start beginners, or in fact in the little bit. So they used to ask this question: what is the difference between the legacy firewall and the next generation firewall? So yes. So now I think you are confident enough, and if somebody asks you this type of questions, then we will come to know that what is the legacy firewall and the next generation firewall. Sorry guys, I just got some messages. So right. So that's much more about the theoretical part. I think you know the basics, that what the firewall is and how that's work. Now let's jump onto the its uh, lab part. Okay, so this is like really required whenever you talk about the, because you have learned the theoretical part, but you have to do some hands-on as well, right? So we'll do some hands-on, and after that one I will be just telling you what are the career aspects whenever you get exposure to the network security, like what are the jobs available in the market. So just let me tell you that this is like high demand, but I'll still like on focusing at the end after our lab session. Okay, so for the lab purpose I'm using my EVNG setup. I think some of you will be aware of EVNG. Say yes if you know
Yep.
it on the
Yes.
chat. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So somebody's saying that no audio. I think I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Ankit,
Yes,
Ankit. Yes,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Perfect. So if let me zoom a little bit so that you can view it properly. Perfect. So this is like a basic setup I have in the EVNG. And let me just brief you the lab setup I have. So you can treat this network as an internal, because I have taken the simple lab. So this will be our insight, or you can say the internal. And here we have like internet. Okay, so you can treat that as an outside. And on one side, we have also taken a server. You can treat that as a DMZ, the demilitarized zone. Okay, so I think if you know the zones, you need not to worry. But if you don't know the zones, I have like some recorded sessions available for this zones. So, but you have to go to my YouTube channel. So there you can find out this zone concept. I have taken a very good analogy and explain you better. So that's basically I recorded whenever I was providing sessions on the Palo Alto. So that is regarding to the Palo Alto, but the concept is similar for the zone concept, that what are the internal zones, what are the external zones, what are the DMZ, basically like demilitarized zone. So this is like demilitarized zones are basically like less security. They are secure, but they have comparatively less security. And for this firewall, I have to access this. I have connected this to on the management port so that I can access that firewall. So all these are, as of now, they're switched off, but I will make them on. So very first thing, let me switch on this. switch, switch on, switch on, and access my firewall. So the IP address of my firewall was 190, I remember. Yes. Zoom this as well. How many of you have hands-on on the FortiGate firewall? Just say yes on the chat if you have hands-on. Okay, so some of you already have that one. It's fine. So I was just typing a chat to perfect. So let me log in it. So this is like a lab session. So there's no configuration in this firewall as of now. Just I have set up the console so that I could connect from my machine. That's it. So the first time, whenever if you have log, I'm sure that even if you have hands-on on the FortiGate, it's really hard that you have logged on the firewall the first time, like with no configuration. If you have not done the labs, if you have done the labs, then you might have gone through. But if you have just worked on the production environment, I'm sure that you could not have gone through this one. So this is like first prompt whenever you log on the firewall the first time. Okay. So FortiGate time is out of sync, so I'm not to worry. And very first thing, like if you check the host name here, right? So host name says that FortiGate VM 64K VM. So this is basically like a virtual machine. I'm not using any hardware, right? So EVNG normally uses a virtual machine to emulate the same services what we exactly get on the hardware. And mode is configured as a NAT, and the current firmware version is version 7.0.4. So these are like version 7 is the recent one. We haven't got version 8 till now. So, but we have like released one or two, 7.1, 7.2, something has come in the market. So it's not too old, but whenever we talk about this version 7, it's almost treated as a latest one. Okay. And that's how like your dashboard look like. You can view the CPU uses here, that how's the uses ongoing on your firewall, what is the status of your memory, and how many sessions are currently running through the firewall. Okay, so these are like current sessions it is saying, and you can view that in the logs and reports. So if you want to check the logs, you can come here and it will show you if there is like running connections like traffic passing through your firewall or not. Okay. So let me just go to very basic thing, which is our networking. So currently this interfaces are not configured, just 10.1.1.20 and 20.1.1.20. So we will configure port 2 as 10.1.1.20 and 20.1.1.20. Some of the guys who are new to the FortiGate firewall, they might not be aware that what is this port 2 or port 3, right? So if you know the Cisco router, they have like interface 1/1, right? G or 10 gig or whatever it is, FA. So they have like terminology like 1/1, 1/2/1, something like that. So similarly, like rather than making it so complex, the FortiGate has simplified these things, and they have just given the port like this one as a port 1, port 2, port 3, port 2. So this is like very simple thing, but this is very similar to whatever you see whenever you are assigning the IP address to your interface 1/1, 1/2, 1/3. So this is like quite similar to that one. So if I go to my firewall and try to configure this port 2 as 10.1.1.20. So I go to the network here, interfaces, and I will try to edit this port 2. Whenever you have any questions, you can ask in the chat. I will just reply back. Internal. And there's like physical interfacing and role. This having like three types of role it is saying: LAN, WAN, and DMZ. So LAN is normally treated as a internal port. WAN is like exposing to the internet. DMZ is like less secure. I just explained, right? So usually the servers are part of this DMZ. Or if you want to make the new zones, you can create it later on those as well. So let's have it like LAN here because this is our internal port. Okay. And so addressing mode, there are multiples: manual, DHCP, and auto IPAM, whatever you want. But currently, I'm going to configure that IP address as manual 10.1.1.20. So that's why I said that subnetting is really required, because if you don't know the subnetting, it is going to be hard time for you to assign the IP addresses to the interface or do further. The very best part for in the FortiGate firewall is you don't have to give this 255.255.255.255.0 as a subnet mask. That's like quite lengthy as Cisco terminology. But here you can just simply give /24, and FortiGate understands that, okay, this is similar to other things. Administrative access, I will allow ping and HTTPS. Okay. And comments is basically whenever you are doing a production environment, any change. So we used to mention as a change number here, that under which change number we created this or we modified this firewall. So that's we do here. And just simply click OK and you are done. Your port 2 is configured with that IP address 10.1.1.20. Same thing we are going to do with the port 3 with 20.1.1.20. And /24, let's go from the top. Here you can mention as an outside or whatever the zones it is connecting to. Okay, so VDOMs will not be covering today. We'll be covering it later on. Yeah, but not today. So outside here, and this one will be going as a WAN, because this is, or you can say the DMZ, because we have server, so we can take this as a DMZ. Okay, and we will allow that ping, and remaining things we keep as it is. We're not changing anything as of now. And okay, Ankit, I will just explain at the end. So let me go on the flow, then we will take up the question as and the end. Okay. And so this connectivity is done basically that from here port 2 to port 3. Okay. And now if I open this machine 10.1.1.10, okay, this has been logged out. So will be log out and logging it in once again. So this is my like machine. This is Windows 7. It's also a type of VM that will be using to test the connection. So from this machine, when you can say 10.1.1.10, I can check the IP address that what is here. That should be 10.1.1.10. Yep. So it is the IP address of 10.1.1.10. Subnet mask is fine. And the default gateway is very important, 10.1.1.20. This default gateway should be of the firewall here. So it is of 10.1.1.20. So if on from here, I try to ping that default gateway 10.1.1.20, what do you guys say, that will be able to ping it or not? What should be the outcome?
We have configured the gateway. It should be, but one thing
Mhm.
on the firewall, we have configured the IP.
Let me show you the architecture once again. That's how it
Please.
is.
Yep.
10.1.1.20 is here. And from here, I'm trying to ping this 10.1.1.20.
Yep. On the host machine, we have configured the gateway, so I think it should ping. Rather than we should have the configuration on the firewall as well.
Okay, let me check it. It's pinging because everything is just nearby and it is pinging. What about this 20.1.1.20? Will that ping?
No.
If I go ping 20.1.1.20 dot 20, no. Okay. Yeah, so dot 20 will not be pinging. So it is very similar what we just learned, that here if you are trying to ping on the left hand side, right? So this is like your side. If you are trying to ping it here, it is fine. But if you are trying to cross it, then it will not allow the connection. Because according to the firewall, I will say that you are not allowed to pass through. But why is that one? Like why we are not allowed to pass through? So let's understand the policies, that how the policies are there, right? So let me jump to my GUI once again, and let's go to the policies. So for the policies, you can go to this option as a policy and objects. Here you see there's option of the policy and objects. So very first option, that is the firewall policy. If you see the firewall policy, we have just single thing here, that is implicit, having the plus sign. Let me expand it. It says that implicit deny all source to all destination, all services, and action is denied. So any traffic will be coming to our firewall, irrespective of any source. Does not matter on which destination it is going, but it will make an action as a deny. It will not allow the connection to pass through. So that's like the default behavior of the FortiGate firewall. And that's why we are not allowed to connect to that IP 20.1.1.20. So how will we set up, or in fact the allow it, right? If you want to allow the connection, then obviously we need to set up the policy. Are we ready to create the policy? Till now, all clear? Like, you understand with me? Say yes if you are.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I see yes. Perfect. So let's create it. So very first thing is name. So I want to like from here to this server. So I'm giving name as a DMZ connection. After that one, it is saying that the incoming interface, that from where your incoming traffic will be there. So what is the incoming interface? It is coming from this Windows machine and going to this server, right? So obviously it should be from port 2 to port 3. So I will select slowly port 2 internal, outgoing to port 3. Now it comes about the source, that what will be the source. So if you click on the source, you see that the multiple things are coming here. So here you have like all the options. Either you can allow the address. Address means that IP address. But for that, you have to create an address for which IP you want to allow, right? So here you cannot directly type the IP address just on the source and you're done. Not like that. So if I want to allow, there's three options. Like I recently was like in one of my YouTube video, I just got a comment that why are we like I think this was the lab I remember I took as an example, and they said that why you are what I did in the lab, I allowed the connection this 10.1.0/24 and given the permission. Then they said that why you are giving this 10 1.1.0/24 to allow the connection. You should be giving permission to 10.1.1.1 to allow the connection. Which one is the correct one? Is this the correct or this is the correct? First option or second option?
Yeah, giving the specific IP is the more relevant because that is the compressed subnet which we are allowing, the 10.1.1.0/24. So that is not the
Okay,
good way,
this
but
should be the 10 one,
the
yeah.
yep, yeah, but the
Mhm.
next one is the good way because we are specifying the unique IP.
Mhm.
That's the more convenient.
No, convenient is the first one. Most convenient is the first one, but the precise way or more legitimate way is the second one,
Yep,
you
yep.
can say.
That is what
Because
I
we
mean.
are,
Yep.
yeah. So whenever we are setting up the policy, there's a very first rule in the firewall that be specific, or we can say the allow specific connection only, that whoever is needed, only to whom you will allow the connection, you will not allow them to all. So if we exactly, yeah. So Ankit, you're right that whenever we are in the corporate, we it does not happen usually that we allow the connection only for the single IP, because there will be like multiple users, right? So it does not happen that you allow for one user to go to internet, because what you do, that this switch will be belonging to the one floor, right? If it does belong to one floor, it means that you cannot just give this single IP to allow. This guy also have the same privileges, right? He's also working in your organization. He also need to access something. So in that case, we usually use this subnet to allow through the firewall. But if it is the server, let's suppose any server you are having and you are setting the connections, it could be like your SQL server. There is like another, we can say, web server, right? Your web server could be like 20.1.1.2, right? So web server, sometimes we give some limited access, but for the database server, we do not provide more service access. So in that case, you will be thinking, if you allow this 20.1.1.1.0/24, it's not a good practice. In fact, you may be stuck in a situation that you cannot explain, right? So in that case, you take only specific IP. But whenever it's talking about the users, so whenever we're talking about the users, we usually take this subnet, like larger one, and then we allow. Whenever it's a server, then we take the specific one, and then we allow. So in this case, I'm just putting up a connection to be like not taking as a floor wise. Let's take another example just for the single one, 10.1.1.10. Okay. I'm not going to for the floor, but it is normal practice. Whenever it's like internal zone, we do not use the specific IP. We just allow the complete subnet /24 or /22, or it could be larger. It just depends on how many users you are having on that floor, and that you allow to connect to the internet or connect to the server or anything like that subnet could be used in the multiple roles. So let me create an object with just a single. So for the creating an object, you can go here, create address, and name you can create for the as a user one, and 10.1.1.10. Okay, sorry, it's 20. 10 valid IP. So I will make it as a, okay, this is subnet. So I will have to select the range. So if you want to allow, you see that the options that how we are setting up a rule to single IP. Where if we select the subnet, there's no option for the single one, right? So in whenever you want to allow any single IP, you have to select this option IP range only. And if you select for IP range, how you will allow 10.1.1.10, 10.1.1.10. But I have forgot to mention the dash here, or you can say the hyphen, and that's how we allow the single IP. So usually the name says as a range, it should be like more IPs, like 10 to 20. But if you want to allow only one IP, that's how you allow. And this is the standard practice. Interface any, okay, and click OK. So my user one is created. So there's two options. Either you can drag and drop, or you can just simply click here, and it will be user one will be added here. So on the destination, as of now, I will set up all. I'm not restricting. Okay. So I usually, if it is going to the server, I should give this 10.1.1.1 or 20.1.1.1 0 subnet. That should be allowed, but I'm just for the sake of convenience giving this destination all. Service, what will be the CIDR value in case of server means what will be the /24 or what after IP? CIDR value in case of the server means that what will be the /24? I just you mean that the server IP? I just did not get the question clearly, but it could be like here if you are using, then we should be using 20.1.1.0/24. Yeah, here in the left hand side we can use this one area /24. So all these will be covered up in this one 10.1.10/. Okay, perfect. So let's go further. So here services I'm giving all, but usually like all ICMP, you can take the services. These are like pre-built services available. But if you want to create any custom, you can create those as well. So as of now, I'm just not restricting the services and taking as an all. Okay, and action is accept. NAT, I will not do that. All the security profiles remain as it is. All sessions, and enables the policy. Okay, I just click OK. So now we have created a policy. For this policy we have created. And there is one more rule that these policies work from top to bottom. Like whenever you are, let's suppose we have this implicit deny, means everything is denied. We have another one where this user one, which was having, I think I should have mentioned that IP address 10.1.1.20. That is the normal practice. 10, sorry, 10.1.10. And that is allowed to pass through to all destination. So that's how we have set up the policy and allowed the connection to pass through the firewall. And now our job was to test it whether now we are getting connection for 20.1.1.20 or not. So I'm going here, and if I ping now, I see that it is allowed. You see that's the magic of like controlling the policies, that how we can set up the policy and allow the connections based on the what we want, right? So I should say that we have allowed all, but we can be more specific, like allow only ICMP or allow only port 80 or 443 based on our requirement. But this is just a lab, so I just allowed the connection for all as of now, and then we checked that it is working fine. So if I open this server here, okay, so that's basically a server. And now if I try to ping, okay, the 20.1.1. What we write in place of question mark. We can write 32 if we want. That's also a subnet. So I think somebody's just a little confused with this one IP. Okay, he got it. Fine, perfect. So ping, if I try to ping this 20.1.1.20, okay, then what do you guys say? It will work or not? Like I am on the server and I'm trying to ping 20.1.1.20. This from server to this one. I think it should ping because this is just like on same subnet and the direct connectivity, right? Will it? You can write yes or no.
Yes, it should.
It should, right? So it is pinging, right? And if we try to ping from here to this 10.1.1.10, this machine, from here to here, it is allowed. From right to left, will it ping?
No,
No. Why it will not?
because we do not allow the traffic from server to from outside from DMZ to inside.
Okay. Okay. Let me just modify the policy and make you confused. And I remove this. Okay. And I add all here. Will it allow now? From all source to all, like any source to any destination. Will that allow now?
Might be the it will allow.
No, I need the perfect one. Just think I'm coming in 1 minute, okay? Sorry, I'm back. So I don't see any yes or no. I'm really curious
Yeah,
to listen the answer.
it should ping. It should ping.
Sure. Okay. Anyone else want to vote? Yes or no?
50-50.
Okay. We have
As you
like
said, you're making confusion and वो create हो गया confusion line में.
that's the fun part. Whenever we just like create confusion, create curiosity, and then okay. So just चलो करके देख लेते हैं. Let's just do it. Okay. So if I ping now, it is pinging. No, I think okay, it's pinging. Should it ping or it should not? Currently, it is pinging. That's fine.
It should ping.
It should ping
The
because we have
region we are using the all, so it should ping.
ex exactly like we from any source, like either it's like internal or external. We have allowed the connection, so that's how the it is passing through. Now, let me
So
give
sir,
you again.
if there
Mhm.
will be another server also, then it will ping from that also. No? It is now open
Exactly.
for
Now
all.
we have like you have set up the firewall, but there is no use of this firewall.
Yeah.
You have just all the doors open. Anybody come and go, I don't care at all. So that's what we have done now. So
The
this is like
FortiGate is in mute, idle state.
exactly. So we don't do that. We will restrict once again. And this time I will just create a subnet here, or let's like that take that user one. Let me modify this first because I forget the IP. 10.1.1.10.
Yes. Sir, yes,
Mhm.
I was asking this only that we have given the one IP, na?
Mhm.
So like we are giving subnet 24. That's why I was asking chat because I was not
Mhm.
getting the option to unmute. So if we
Mhm.
are using single IP, as you said, for server, we will not give the full subnet because we have to access a single server. So
Mhm.
then slash 32 will be there, no? And it is for
Yes,
one to
slash,
one.
yes, exactly. Yeah, slash
So
32 could be used. We
that means
like
for
just
single IP.
yes for single IP. So that's how like you can do. You can change it. Okay, it's I think I cannot modify it. So let's suppose we create a new one. Okay, and you want to create an address group and want to do like this 10.1.1.20. Okay, and okay, this is just name. So I will say as host underscore this, and in this subnet you can give like this
Yeah,
n
net
dot one
mask.
dot one dot 20 slash 32. That's how you can do.
Okay.
I think we have this 20, right? Okay, this is the gateway. So I will use this 10.1.1.1. So we might be using some time. Port 4. Okay, and now if I want to show you one more magic here. Okay, so if this user wants to go to the internet, this guy, currently the internet is not working. Obviously that the server connectivity is there, but we don't have any uh, connectivity towards the internet. So if I try to access google.com, it will not be going through. It's taking time, but actually it will say that internet connection is broken. So for that, what we will do, we will configure this port 4 because this is going towards internet, right? So I will configure this port 4. Where is my interface? And I'm going to use this as a DHCP, not the manual one. Okay. So let the role as a WAN and IP addressing mode will be the DHCP. And that is fine. So very soon you will see that the IP address will be assigned to this port 4.
So why to use DSCP, sir?
Mm, that's like automatic IP address we get it, right?
Okay.
So that's magic. You see that I have not given any IP addresses. It's just directly went to the DHCP server and got the IP.
In real environment in corporate, we have to give the IP or like this only, DSCP.
It just depends. Like in here, if you see the for the internet facing ones, that just depends on your how you have taken the ISP. If the ISP
Okay.
is agreed, like you have bought an IP address because these IP addresses are paid. Okay,
Okay.
so if you have taken an IP address a range, you can use your public IP address to because whenever you are in the production environment, this will be public IP.
Yes.
Okay, and that will be going. You see that this is just a private one
Yeah,
got
that's
from the
private.
DHCP, but that actually. So if you have got through from any of the ISPs, then you can use that one. If not, you can use the DHCP one from the ISP as well, and then you can go to the internet.
Okay.
And to allow this connection, I have to set up the policy once again. So I have to go to the firewall policy, and this time I have to make this go towards port 4 and destination source, let it be like constrained one, that host 10.1.1.10. Okay, and now I have to enable the NAT because without NAT we cannot go to the internet. That's right. You if you have gone through this basic understanding, without NAT we cannot go to the internet. So and all sessions, that's okay. And I think one more thing I have to do, that is default route. Let me check it. I'm sure that it is not working, but okay, it is working without even default route. It loaded. Perfect. So means that all traffic is now going towards the internet. I can access google.com. I can access YouTube here. I can watch the video inside my machine. It's not my machine. It's like VM where it's like that is behind the firewall. and that one is showing the music. I think you cannot hear it, right? You and I cannot listen it. No worries. We're not here to listen to music, just learn the networking. So that's how here it is. And now the very important, and like without that, our session is just like not complete. That is our logs. Okay. So if you see here in the logs and report, you can see all the traffic passing through our firewall. Whatever we have gone through, you see that whenever we open like google.com or youtube.com, these many of the connections it has made. We have not tried anything like fonts.gstatic.com, yt3 ggpht something.com, right? Have we gone through those connections? We have not, but it's still these connections to go this one. So why this is happening? Because if you open this youtube.com, it's not only YouTube. This page is like combination of lot of things. There like ads are coming. You see that this advertisements are coming, shorts are coming. So because of that, it tries to reach certain destination. Even like whenever you are connected to the internet, you will see that our time sync is going to like tries to goes there and try to sync the time. Microsoft updates will be automatically taking forth there. So all the connections, those are passing through your firewall, you will be seeing here. Okay, so if I refresh it, you will see that the recent connections that what has been made from here. You can to see the more details, you can click it here or double click. This right side window will open, and here you can see all the things. What at what date and time the connection was made. 10.1.10.10 source IP. It was netted to this one. And this NAT was happening on the firewall, but further because it is going to the internet, so it will be further netted on my broadband router and being public one, then going out. What is the source host name of the PC from where you tried, on which source interface it is coming, where it is going. The destination is this one. This is in the United States, and the destination port is port 443 using. Okay. So these type all the things you can see in here. So whenever you are like seeing the troubleshooting, anybody coming to your on the firewall that this connection is blocked or dropped, is not allowed the connection. Very first thing what you do, you go to this forward traffic, and then you see the logs that okay, this connection is allowed or it's
Sorry.
not.
Okay, so in result, there we are seeing that some is having tick and we are seeing that this much KB, but some are blank.
Hmm.
Can you explain why it is blank in
This
result?
one,
Result in result category.
yeah, I see that. So if you see it here, it could not be like perfectly, but it has got the 6 KB, right? I have taken the blank one.
Okay, okay.
So it's still the it's not might be getting here, but if I double click here, you see that 6 KB of data is there. It has received 10 packets
Okay,
was
10
received,
packets.
sent 923 bytes.
Okay.
So let me check my YouTube if there's some questions. Oh no, they're not. Okay, perfect. So I think I just will stop here and take some of the questions. But before that, let me tell you that this was less like a brief session. It's not like covered in too much detail. You can visit my website. This is my website basically, bestdeveloper.online, and 50. There are like some recorded sessions are available on like CCNA. You can watch through, or the FortiGate Firewall or Checkpoint or Palo Alto. You can go through those ones. But these are like recorded ones, and sometimes people like do not prefer that one. So I'll be starting live classes for this one on which date I'm starting. Yeah, from next Sunday. That is like 20, no, 25. 25th of Feb. Okay, so if anybody wants to, because this was like session to give you brief that you really good at it, how you can make career on this or not, is it relevant to you or not. So that's what it is about. Okay, so I will be starting on 25th of Feb, obviously 2024. Okay, and the cover, I will cover it in like around 2.5 months. Okay, timing will be the same, 10 to 11:30, the 1.5 hour, and Saturday and Sunday only. Okay, and total content will be around 30 hours in this one. So if you calculate simply 1.5 hours a week, around 3 hours, so we need around 10 weeks to cover that. So 10 weeks, that reaches around 2.5 months, but it's still that just depends on the number of questions you are asking. So if you are asking more questions, it may go to 11 or 12 weeks. If you are asking less questions, it may finish in 10 or 9. So it just depends that how good I'm teaching and then how good you are understanding, right? So it's just a mutual agreement of both of them. Based on that one, this time could vary. And content what I'm going to cover. So I think just like from the starting basics of the firewall, then FortiGate firewall, packet flow, right? That how the packet flow is happening and inside your FortiGate firewall. Okay, so it's like a step by step. First, the packet is entering, then it is checking the policy, then it is doing NAT, then it is doing antivirus filtering, then it is checked further for any malware. Okay, so these type of things, that what will be the behavior of the packet whenever it is entering inside the FortiGate firewall. Then it will be sometimes like admin task, firmware upgrade, you can say the software upgrade, backup, how we perform the backups and restore. Okay, so these type of some admin jobs. It's suppose how to want to revert your policies. Okay, so sometimes it happens that it went something wrong and you want to restore that one. Then after that one, we'll have a detailed discussion on the policy creation, how the policies are working. Then we will focus on the NAT, DNAT, along with the U-turn NAT. So these are like DNAT, NAT and DNAT are concepts, and U-turn NAT is like a design methodology that what we do. Okay, so NAT is basically when we talk about this is like SNAT, basically like a NAT happening from the source site, source IP address, and DNAT is like destination NAT. So we'll just have a detailed discussion. It takes around, I think, 3 to 4 hours to cover that, theoretical as well as the lab part. So we'll have deep dive on that one. Later on, we will move up to like some of the security profiles, or before that one, we will also go for the app ID. That what is the importance of the app ID, because most of the organizations are focusing on the app ID, and they are creating rules based on that. And we will also cover URL. App ID is done, and then okay, security profiles. So whenever we talk about the security profiles, we will be focusing on the URL filtering, antivirus profile, and some or other profiles like group security profiles are there. So we will learn from first that what they are, and then we will try to do labs for them. So after that one, we will go for this content inspection. So content inspection is like identifying that what file type is traveling on your firewall. So it could be like blocking your exe file. Like you don't want to allow that exe file passing through, or you can say the binary file. These are very dangerous. Most of the hackers use them to install unwanted files on your system. So we just block them so that because user may not be aware that what is coming or passing through that one, but uh, firewalls is like smart enough, so they will just get that one and block that one. So here it is very important that it should be like stateless or uh, stateful. Okay, so stateless or stateful. So these will also be covered, like what are the stateful and stateless. We will cover it more on detail. Okay, and at the end, like very important concept, that is HA, that high availability, that I will also be covering. So high availability is that two firewalls work together. That how you'd, in order to make the availability more, one of the firewall goes down, but another one will still be working. So we'll talk about like active scenarios and active passive scenarios, which one are used more. So it's like more details will be taking care of that one. So anyways, so that was like my future plans, but still, how was this session? Was it good? Have you learned something from this? Or it was just like you, it was normal one?
Yeah, it was good.
Good. So at least I'm expecting that through this, like spending around 1.5 hour you have given to it. So at least you have gained something. It does not mean that you spent a lot of time and you did not get after like after this much of time.
Nice, interesting.
Okay. Okay.
Anuj, I have one
Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
Do we have the app ID type of services
Mhm.
in FortiGate?
Yes.
Okay. Could you just like let us know where it is,
Mhm.
like where the option is
Yep.
for the app ID
Mhm.
and the URL filtering and antivirus?
Yep.
Because most of the thing when we
Mhm.
use this app ID and the content filtering and all those stuff, we most
Mhm.
probably use in Palo Alto. But
Mhm.
I never seen this option in FortiGate. So
Mhm.
could you please?
Mhm. Okay. This is also a type of like next generation firewall, and they cater all the things. So for app ID, you can go to this very first thing, like for the URL filtering, let me talk about. So you can go to this security profiles and you have this option web filter here. Okay. So in this, you can you can modify these existing ones very first, that whatever you want to allow or block. So for example, you want to block the hacking websites. Currently, these are like in the monitor. So these blocks are these abortion, adult category. They are like block. So if you use that profile, you can block these type of things like nudity, pornography, datings, alcohol, tobacco. So these, if you use this profile default one, these will automatically be blocked. But if you want to modify according to your requirement, you can either modify this or create a new one according to your requirement and use that profile in your security policy. Another thing, you can use that application control. Okay, so here you can have this what are the applications you are using. Okay, so for example, you have this like mm, these are like applications available. Okay, so if you want to like search for the YouTube, you can search it here. Okay, this is, I'm not in the right category. I have to go for the streaming one, right?
social
YouTube
media,
is streaming one. But let's go for the social media as of now.
social media.
So here the Facebook should be there. So you see that there are a lot of apps, application IDs are available for Facebook. You can use according to your requirement, whatever you want to allow or block. So for example, you just allow Facebook like button. Okay. So only, let's suppose you allow all and you do not allow this Facebook like button. It means that nobody will be able to like anything on the Facebook. They can use all the services, but they will not be able to like anything on the Facebook. So you could be like things you can use based on the app IDs. And most of the organizations, because of security reasons, they are just preferring these app ID rather than the port numbers, because it is highly secured and these app IDs are created based on the signatures rather than just simply port numbers.
Okay. And how can we apply this? Do we have to apply this on the IPS option, which we have in the policy, where we go, there are certain options like IPS and certificate inspection?
You can go to the policies. And here you have this option application control. You can
Yes,
enable
yes,
it
yes.
and attach that profile there, and then you're done.
Okay, okay, Anuj,
So how
thanks.
uh, so how to judge that which policy, security policies we have to apply
Mhm.
for which services? If like we are creating policy for YouTube, then
Mhm.
how we decide ki which security policies we have to give access on that? Uh,
So, for example, you have like pen. For example, you have like one policy for the internet. Okay, so all the person in your organization will be using that internet, because that internet will be having something like all the resources, or AD group will be created for that one, and that AD group will be allowed to go to internet. So it just depends on organization. Let's suppose you have allowed this 10.1.0.0/16 subnet, because this is quite a large range, and all these users are allowed to go to all destination, because this is for the internet, and you have allowed port 443 for that. Perfect. So all the persons are using this policy for the internet. So obviously, if you want to block the YouTube, you will create a web filter policy and block that YouTube and attach that to that internet policy, because you are restricting the internet.
yeah, सर या आई एम सेइंग दैट
Mhm.
जैसे अभी यूट्यूब पॉलिसी हमने क्रिएट कर दी, तो अभी जो
Mhm.
पेज खुला था ना सर, उसी में नीचे
Mhm.
वेब वो जो ऑप्शन आता है एप्लीकेशन सिक्योरिटी का, वो वहां पे पूछा था किस किस ऑप्शन को हमें ऑन करना होगा। जो अभी सर ने क्वेश्चन पूछा उसी पे जो पेज खुला था ना सर अभी पॉलिसी वाला,
Mhm. Mhm.
उसमें पूछ रहा था मुझे। एक बार सर वो लॉग इन करिए। हाँ,
Mhm.
ये जो सिक्योरिटी प्रोफाइल आ रहा है, लेट वी
Mhm.
हैव क्रिएटेड अ यूट्यूब पॉलिसी एंड दिस इज द
Mhm.
पेज ऑफ यूट्यूब पॉलिसी, वी आर
Mhm.
क्रिएटेड अ पॉलिसी ऑफ यूट्यूब। तो ये
Mhm.
सिक्योरिटी प्रोफाइल में किस किस को हम चेक बॉक्स करेंगे, मतलब ये कैसे हम समझेंगे? मान लीजिए यूट्यूब के लिए बना रहे हैं, या कोई कोई पॉलिसी हमने सोशल मीडिया वेबसाइट के लिए एक्सेस के लिए,
No,
तो
no,
फिर
you
हमें
you
सिक्योरिटी प्रोफाइल में से
you
किसको
you have
चेक
to
बॉक्स
you
करना
have to create like your own profile, and let's suppose you go to this web filter, okay, and create a new profile, test one, okay, and you these are the default, everything is just default now.
है? ओके,
This I have test one created, and here you can go to this policy in Rob 6, go to this firewall policy, and in that test you will define that, okay, I'm just restricted the YouTube, and now you will come here on the web filter, and you will use this test policy, sorry, this test policy now, because you are using in YouTube using this policy, so this will be blocked on this one. You cannot access the YouTube from here.
ओके ओके, तो दिस विल रेस्ट्रिक्ट मीन्स ये रेस्ट्रिक्ट कर देगा या उसको उसके मतलब चेक करेगा कि हाँ इसको अलाउ करना नहीं करना है, तो इसलिए
Exactly,
उसको
yeah, that it will do, yeah.
ओके ओके. What is this SSL infection?
SSL inspection is like detecting because SSL is encrypted traffic. Our firewall will not able to detect it if it's encrypted. So first it will decrypt it, then it will read the information.
Oh,
So, any other question?
Yeah, hi Anuj. I just need to know like whether the session which we'll be taking for next time, like might be paid or something like that. So is this only about the FortiGate or do we have different flavors like FortiGate and Palo Alto or FortiGate or PF Sense? How it is?
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, I wanted to tell you, but you asked at the right time. So this is, yeah. So if you go to this, just give me a second. Drop it, please. Sorry. So if you go to this my channel, this is my channel. So here you have like lot of things available there. Okay, in the playlist. So we have this like live classes. Okay, this one. Okay, the FortiGate firewall you have full. Okay, and you have the Palo Alto CCNA, and along with that, I have just recently started this Linux for hackers. Okay, so this is like recently done. So you have currently like CCNA, Palo Alto, FortiGate, and Linux. These four sessions are available as of now. You can like watch them. The links are here. Like whatever you see it here, it will redirect to this one. If you don't want to be here, you can directly like search my channel, that is this Fresh Developer, and you will get all these here. And that's one. And these are basically that you see that the FortiGate Zoom session. So these are like the live classes I took it, but they are restricted because they are the paid ones. So only restricted to the members who just enrolled for that one, and that this is available only for them. So because this is I'm just logged on, so I see it, but you will not see this information if you view my channel.
तो ये जूम सेशन कंप्लीट है 4 में पूरा जो आप अभी जैसे सेशन लेंगे उसी का.
Yes, so if you see this one, like here, this FortiGate firewall paid you, there's like 21 videos in this one.
Okay, this is complete.
Yes, this is complete. Whatever content I'm covered. So here the details you could find out here. If you go this on the FortiGate firewall page, okay. So the content it will be like introduction to firewalls. This is FortiGate firewall policy, NAT and routing concept. This is like I'm going to cover, and the prices of this one will be like 49998. That's like for the live sessions. That okay. Date this will not be 29th October. This is the previous batch when I took it. So
Yes,
that I will be changing it to the 25th of Feb. So it will be soon. Like today, I will change it. And right now, like the payment method was not like proper. So now we have like contracted with this Razorpay. So they will be incorporating with me. So the payment options will also be changed. So you can enroll using the Razorpay because Razorpay is like people trust for the payment. So that's why I have gone through that one.
And Anuj, I think while deploying any of the firewall, we have two options.
Mhm.
I mean, there might be multiple, but there is one is net and second is proxy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, actually, I was expecting that needs to be
Mhm.
introduced in the lecture, so I was
Uh,
waiting for that.
okay, no, proxy was not covered in this session. It just put totally on this FortiGate
Okay.
firewall. But here I will just like during our because it's like 2 hour session, so it's like almost impossible to cover 30-hour content because you see that normal course content I'm having for 30 hours. It's just really
Okay.
hard to cover everything in just like 2 hours, and it's not at all possible.
That I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
So you want to view that YouTube that membership videos, then what are the charges for that? This one, firewall.
Uh, for this one, like the recorded ones, these are 3,000.
Okay. This is also complete one.
Yes. So these are like whenever we had the live sessions, so then they are recorded. Complete one, yeah. Whatever the content I have mentioned here, that is covered. You can see. In fact, like I have summarized here. In fact, the more detail is inside the videos rather than whatever I have mentioned here.
Yeah.
So any if like want to join for this live session, you can reach me on WhatsApp. I will be sharing you the link for the reserve. That direct
And
link. Mhm.
one more thing, Anuj, I
Yeah.
just need to know, like, do we have any labs? Like, can we perform the labs, or do we have
For
some other charges for the labs? How it is?
no, labs charges are not there because I'm not providing any cloud-based labs. Like I'll be helping you to set up EVNG lab on your machine, so you will be accessing that one.
So, what is the basic requirement for EVNG? Is it like above 16 GB of RAM?
No, no, no. 16 GB is more than sufficient. Even if you have 8 GB, that will work. But 8 GB sometimes create the problem. So if you have 16 GB RAM, because I'm having that 16 GB RAM right now, that's what I'm using. You see that the was using precisely. There was no delay or lag something. It was working fine.
Because I can see that you have only one single firewall. Okay, what if we add two FortiGate as a HA? Because over here,
Yeah.
what I can see is standalone deployment, and what if we go for the two firewalls like FortiGate and we are running IPsec and all those services on the firewall,
Mhm.
so able to handle my system.
Yeah, yeah. I used to do for all these labs. I wanted to show you, but it was this is the HA lab. I used to cover it for the HA one.
Okay.
So it works smoothly. It never even like I have gone through up to three, five, four firewalls. It because these firewalls are like EVNG machines and they are like do not create Palo Alto may create the problem, but FortiGate is like quite cool for a small size.
Okay. So we need at least 16 and above if we want to
No, no,
deploy
no.
the next
16 is
gen.
more than sufficient. Even if you have 8, it will work.
Okay. Okay, fine, Anuj.
Okay, perfect. So if any other question, we can continue. Else, we can end up this session now. Okay. No question, I see. Perfect.
Uh,
So,
well, I don't have any questions from my side.
okay, that's great. If no questions, I will just stopping this one. And see you soon. If you enroll for the upcoming sessions, we'll see there. Till then, bye-bye.
Okay.
And stay
Okay.
connected. Like still, if you go for the sessions or not, but we will be in touch and helping each other.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
And let me just you are here, so you can join my group. That basically for the FortiGate firewall. Sometimes that's like not more active, but we make it sometimes like good information on that one. So let me share with you.
And
link. So you,
can we ask the Q&A on that group?
yeah, it obviously we can have questions on that one, because it's like connectivity is really important. We can, where is that group? Okay, here it is. I think this is just one-to-one representation to everybody. So this was like I created around, I think 3 months before. So you can join it and just stay in touch. Like we can use it like any job portals or knowledge sharing or anything. So it will be helping the existing members as well as the guys.
Sure, Anuj, no problem.
Okay, perfect. So let's stop here. See you soon. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, bye, sir.